Hey everyone, welcome to Colin's Creatures. Today I'm at Check Tornetta's Tortuga Ranch, and today I'm going to be talking about Aldabra Tortoises. The scientific name for the Aldabra tortoise is Aldabra gigantea. They are from the Aldabra Atoll, which is in the Seychelles, an island nation off the coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean, as well as other islands near the Seychelles, where they will roam around. Because they're tortoises, they can live for a very long time, well over 100 years, with the oldest one ever being recorded living to 255, and the current oldest living individual, Jonathan, is over 190 years old. They are the second largest tortoise species in the world, only behind the Galapagos giant tortoise, and they can get 4 feet long in shell length and weigh over 500 pounds. Wilson's pretty big. He still has a lot more growing to do.
Check out these big guys at Clyde Peeling's Reptiland from 5 years ago. And you don't want to get your foot stepped on by one of these really big guys.
They're typically a dark gray, though they can look brown due to dirt getting on their shells. The Aldabra giant tortoise has 2 main varieties of shell shapes related to their habitat. Specimens living in an environment with food available primarily on the ground have a more domed-shaped shell, like this one, with the front extending downward over the neck. Those living in an environment with food available higher above the ground have a more flattened top shell with the front raised to allow the neck to extend upward freely. They have stocky, heavily scaled legs to support their heavy bodies, and the skin and scales are smooth, and they are able to tolerate high humidity. Their feet are large and flat, like that of an elephant, and like elephants, they fit a similar niche in which they are the large browsing herbivore that can knock down trees and clear paths that can be used by other animals. The neck of the Aldabra giant tortoise is very long, even for its great size, which helps the animal exploit tree branches up to a meter above the ground. In the wild, they primarily eat plants, like grasses, leaves, woody plant stems, as well as other plant material. And the areas that they eat are usually called tortoise turf. And this tortoise turf will contain all the plants that they eat. They've also been seen eating meat on occasion, like insects and carrion, and have even been seen cannibalizing on dead tortoises. They used to have a very large range all across the Indian Ocean, but their range has shrunk only down to the Seychelles due to overexploitation by European sailors. But thankfully, even though they're vulnerable, they have had great conservation efforts made, and were one of the first animals to have conservation and reintroduction efforts made that were successful. Despite being vulnerable, they are readily available and captive bred. So let's talk about their captive care. Their enclosure should be very large. One site I found said 100 by 30 feet, though they didn't specify how many tortoises this was good for, though it probably would be good for a full-size one if you're just letting it graze on grass. A water area should be given that they can drink and soak in, and it can be fairly deep as they have long necks. While she's drinking, let's talk more about their care. They're not really diggers like this sulcata tortoise behind me, as their feet aren't really made for it and they can just get too big. Though they do like to go into smaller recesses and wall around in mud and water. And while they don't dig, they are very powerful and can plow down weak barriers if they're not properly secured. Their hot area should be in the 90s if they're kept outside. Obviously the sun will take care of that for you. And the ambient temp should be around 80 degrees. And they do need UVB, and you're keeping them indoors during the winter when it gets too cold. You should keep the UV and the heat together so they don't prioritize one over the other and get health issues. In captivity, they will eat all sorts of plants. They will graze on grass, they will eat pre-made tortoise pellets, they'll eat hay, and they'll also eat leafy greens. So, in summary, the Aldabra tortoise is a really awesome, large species of tortoise that is just really awesome. So, I hope you enjoyed my video on the Aldabra tortoise, and I hope you learned a lot. I certainly learned a lot while researching for this video. I'd like to thank Check Tornetta for allowing me to use his Aldabra tortoises in my video. So, thanks for watching, subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and I'll see you next time on Colin's Creatures.